Salute is a program for and about men and women who have served our country. Our program includes news about the laws that affect veterans, information on benefits and services, and news from veterans organizations. And now, our host, Bob Peters.
Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me today is Mr. Joe Rue, who's the minister and a social worker, a retired minister, social worker with the Presbyterian Church. You live in the Villages now, correct, Joe?
Yes.
And also is the chapter president of the Korean Veterans Chapter 169, Wally Jones. So welcome to the show, guys. It's good to have you here. And Wally, we're going to be talking about an event, special event coming up this July 27th, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right.
But before we get into that, I want the people at home to learn a little bit about you, Joe, and what you went through. And we chatted a little prior to taping the show. And why don't you tell us a little bit of history about you were born in North Korea, correct?
Yes.
And then how did you are now an American citizen?
Right.
But tell us the history that you told me a little while ago. I think the people would like to hear it. How North and South became in the war.
Okay. Yes, I was born in North Korea in 1937 and raised until I was at the age of 17 when the Korean War broke out. My father was a minister in the Korea too. And when let me talk about a little bit of the Korean background. Korea was under the colony of the Imperial Japanese government from 1910 to 1945 for 35 years. 1945, when the World War II was ended, Korea became liberated from the colony of the Japanese force. We were such excited to become, Korea has a history of over 4,000 years. That was the first time we were lost our sovereignty, but when we were liberated through the World War II, we were so excited. But the sad thing was, Korea was divided between North and South by the World War II leaders at the time, Stalin of the Soviet Union and the Roosevelt of the United States of America, for the region to disarm the Japanese armies stationed in Korea. Soviet Union used that as an opportunity to put their foothold in the North Korea in order to reach out to the Pacific Ocean. Through the United Nations, we are supposed to have general elections to have the Korea to elect the independent government. Soviet Union refused to participate in the election, so that South Korea alone held the election, and thereby they established the Republic of Korea. They call it ROK. And then North Korea followed afterwards to establish their own puppet government called the Democratic Peoples of the Republic of Korea, DPRK, for the Soviet Union. Then, when it comes to 1950, North Korea wanted to reunify the country by force under the communistic control. They waged the war against South Korea. Within the first week, they pushed through the Busan, southeast tip of the Korea, within the first week, by forcing the South Korean armies and small force of the American forces. By September 15, at the time, due to the help of the President Truman, on June 27, 3 days after war started, Truman announced to help the South Korea, went to the United Nations, and through the United Nations, Truman was able to get the 15 other countries to join the United States forces to make it UN forces to help the South Korea to recover from the North Korean aggression under the General Douglas MacArthur. General MacArthur used the brilliant tactics by having daring landing of the Incheon, west coast of the South Korea, September 15, which turned the war against pushed the North Korean armies to the north, beyond not only 38 parallel, which was demarcation of the South and North Korea, and even pushed through Yalu River, which is the borderline between North Korea and China. Unfortunately, Chinese communists intervened to help the North Korea by massing the Chinese armies in the North Korean soil. Thereby, the UN forces had to retreat back to the south. Using that opportunity, about 10 million people of North Korea fled to the south. I was one of them. Unfortunately, my mother and the three brothers, the brothers and sisters started together to escape, but we were already caught by the North Korean soldiers. Then my mother told me, "You are the one to escape," hoping that we will reunite again. Because I was at the time at the age of 17, I had escaped the drafting of the North Korean forces during the Korean War started. So that's how I escaped. My father was a minister of the North Korea, but he was kidnapped about 1 year before the Korean War broke out. So my mother and the 5 other siblings and myself struggled, but as I said, I was the only one to escape. So that's how I escaped, along with 10 other North Korean people.
Yeah, and then you went to the South, and eventually, when did you come over here? And you're now an American citizen,
Okay,
right?
yeah. I was lucky enough to have the aunt and my grandmother who helped me in the South to go through the education. So I was able to graduate from the Yonsei University. And then as I finished the university in 1956, I was lucky enough to get the full scholarship from the University of Dubuque in Iowa. That's how I came to the United States. And I came to study the minister at the Dubuque Theological Seminary in Dubuque. And then as I finished the seminary education in Dubuque and in Princeton Theological Seminary, and then I became the ordained minister of the Presbyterian Church USA. So that's how I came to United States. And then eventually I got the citizenship of the U.S.
Well, that's great. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
But I want to get to, I want to say one thing that you told me about, is that, I find it very brave what your family did, and the fact that you got your freedom and you're here, but you paid a price, the fact that you hadn't seen your family in many, many, many years, and the only reason you got to see your family is because North Korea allowed American citizens in, and since you're an American citizen originally from North Korea, you were allowed to go back, right?
Yeah. I was able to visit my separated families in 1997. That's about 47 years, first time in 47 years.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And hopefully to see all of my families, that is my mother and 2 other brothers and 3 sisters.
And because your father was a minister,
Mm-hmm.
North Korea didn't want Christianity and all that spread over there, so they took him, and you never ever found out what happened to him.
No, yeah.
Well, you're a very brave man, and I appreciate everything you've done. Joe, you have some pictures that you brought along of the luncheon that they had, the South Koreans saying thank you to the Korean veterans. That particular picture is what?
Yeah. There is the Korean Baptist Church in Ocala, which had their own buildings. And that's a small church. But gracious enough, I had them to invite the Korean War veterans for the luncheon in connection with 60th anniversary of the Korean War armistice in July. The reason we had earlier than July because of the weather, knowing that most of the Korean War veterans very advanced age. So maybe around April might be a good time to have them for the lunch. Okay. So we had about about 60-some veterans
nice turnout.
participated with a great time. The building is the Korean War Baptist Church, and the ladies were gracious enough to prepare the good Korean delicious food for them to enjoy.
They're dressed in traditional garb.
Yeah, they were the Korean costume. Yeah, and then this was the inside of the church building. After the luncheon, we had a gathering together to have some chatting each other, and that's the scene of the inside of the Baptist church there. Okay. During the meeting in the inside the church, the Korean ladies had some Korean folk songs. One of them is Arurang. Most of the Korean War veterans knew about it, so we sang together. And this is the picture we take outside of the church building. Most of them Korean War veterans, as well as some Korean people who participating for the luncheon event. Yeah.
Well, I think that's very great of the church that have done that.
Yeah.
And I know, Wally, it was really well received by the Korean veterans.
Very well received, and they did a very nice thing about giving a beautiful orchid to each couple that was there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it was very, very nice, very well done. And Joe gave a very nice talk about what went on and that sort of thing. So.
You have a medallion on that I see there. That, tell us a little history about that. And you were instrumental in helping get that for the chapter, were you not?
Yes, when we were preparing the luncheon, Tom Field, the past president of the Chapter 169, told me that the Korean government gave they call it about the Peace Medallion to the Korean War veterans, but only 19 people received, and about the 40 other people have not received.
Right.
So he asked me whether or not I could ask get the rest of the medallion for those veterans who did not receive. So I called the General Consulate of the Republic of Korea station in Atlanta, and then he was gracious enough to get the 19, I think, other medallions together, with altogether about 49.
Yeah.
So everybody got the medallions. Yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And Wally, it came with the, what would you call that, a certificate?
A certificate, yeah.
Yeah.
These came in a nice box, and then a certificate accompanied it.
Would you be so kind as to read the certificate?
Surely. its heading is Ambassador for Peace, Official Proclamation. It is a great honor and pleasure to express the everlasting gratitude of the Republic of Korea and our people for the service you and your countrymen have performed in restoring and preserving our freedom and democracy. We cherish in our hearts the memory of your boundless sacrifices in helping us reestablish our free nation. In grateful recognition of your dedicated contributions, it is our privilege to proclaim you an ambassador for peace, with every good wish of people of the Republic of Korea. Let each of us reaffirm our mutual respect and friendship that may endure for generations to come. And it's signed by Park Si-hwan, General Retired ROK Army, Chairman, Korean Veterans Association.
That's nice, very nice.
Yeah.
And this is getting us up to July 27th now.
Yes.
So we know that now that July 27th is the 60th year of the signing of the armistice with the
60th anniversary.
So why don't you give us a little insight of what's going on and where's it going?
Okay, what we have, we did this last year and the year before. So I was chairman of the 59th, and now we have another fellow who's the chairman of the 60th. But we have some pictures here of the program, and this is actually the 59th. I'm standing up in front, but what we do, and we have a nice turnout for this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And we're hoping for a bigger turnout this time.
Yes, right, because this is really a very, very special year.
60 years.
Matter of fact, in Washington, they're having a huge celebration, which we were invited to, but none of us could make it from our chapter. So we decided that we would have our own situation. And this is at the Fountain Memorial Park in Leesburg, which was put together by the veterans and then by donations. It's a beautiful thing. It was about a $500 million park investment. So it's really a very nice thing. And of course, what it is, all these marble walls here have names engraved in them because they're marble walls and they're engraved as the people turn in their names and so forth who want them. There's also bricks on the floor here for people who want to be remembered on this memorial.
And all those names, this is just to clarify for everybody, are veterans, not just Korean veterans, but World War II.
Yeah, this is for all veterans.
Vietnam, all veterans.
Of any war, there is a veteran, yes, right. But it was our chapter who put this whole thing together. And at the 60th anniversary celebration, we will tell the folks who actually did the work for this and got it going. So we have the names inside of all our chapter members, and also a memoriam for folks who passed on. But it's going to cover the welcome, which I'll present, and then Art Canal is now the chairman of the anniversary this time. And we post our colors. We have an invocation by Jack Reynolds, our chaplain. We always pledge allegiance, and then we go through the national anthem. And behind that, there'll be a drummer, very calm, but behind him while he's doing the national anthem. Then we will introduce Don Van Beck, who is the CEO of the Fountain Park. And actually, it was Art Canal who came up with the original drawing on this thing. And Dick Fahler came up with the original drawing, pushed it in the chapter for a couple of years. Finally, people got interested. So that's how they got into it. Then Art Canal actually designed it, and then Don Van Beck took it over after that and actually made it happen. It's all done by contributions. I mean, that's how it was paid for, by contributions. And I think with all the money that was required for it, they're only maybe $10,000 or $15,000 short of that. So it's been very well received and very well. And they continue. Every brick, you pay about $50, $60 for a brick, and so we keep selling bricks to help pay for the end of the thing. Tom Thiel is going to be our speaker. He's past president of our chapter, was chapter president for 4 years, done a marvelous job with our chapter. And so I'm following in his footsteps.
Big shoes to fill there,
yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, it is. And but he's been very helpful, and I'm doing it a little bit differently than Tom did, but we're managing for it to happen. Now he's going to talk about this, remembering 60 years ago, and he has quite a story to tell, because he was really in the war. I really was not. I was shipped over to Japan, ready to go, but the war ended, so I didn't. I was in support and I didn't get involved. But he talks about how he was never under a roof in the whole year he was there. He was either in a pup tent or under the ground. So you can
Yeah.
imagine the life that they lived.
Yeah, people should really try to make this because Tom Taylor is terrific. He's a terrific speaker.
Yes.
He's a terrific patriot,
Yes.
and I'd really like to see a lot of people show up because pay your dues. I mean, you guys paid your dues, and you should get the recognition that you guys
Yes. Yeah.
deserve. And I have the utmost respect for Tom, and I know he'll do a great job.
Oh yeah, and it was a successful war for us because now we have a beacon of freedom over there in South Korea. I mean, they're an outstanding nation, so it was a successful thing for all the hurt and pain that we went through to help them. Then, of course, we're going to present our wreath, which we always do, and we have a benediction at the end and a silent prayer. And then we're going to have a rifle salute and the actual firing of the rifles, and as they're doing that, we also have the drummers kind of in the background. And actually, to start the whole thing off, it's just to set the atmosphere. We have the village twirlers are going to be there. So, as you come in to sit down, you'll see something going on, some action. Then, of course, we have taps. Again, the drummers will be in the background to give it some nice sound. And we'll retire the colors and adjourn. The whole thing will last about an hour and 10 minutes at most. But it should be a very nice situation. It was last year. It was a very nice situation.
Yes, it was.
So this is a program for that. And we printed them up and we're passing them out so everybody has a copy of it. And the other pictures on here are just the color guard as they stand up and the class work that has been done. Tom Thiel also has been involved in that. Telemerica's led the charge. So the veterans go to the schools and they talk to the kids about what is happening in what happened in the war and so forth. And matter of fact, I was involved. We had an interview for about an hour and a half, and where we had 3 kids that were just asking, I shouldn't say kids, I said young people, asking us what we did in the war and so forth, and what we did after that. And so it was a very, very thorough interview, I will say that. And then, of course, we have a little picture here of the group at the Korean church that Joe Rue just had showed you. And then this is just another get-together at a picnic that we had.
Yeah.
So,
Getting back to the event, I want to make sure this gets out there that it's going to be on the 27th of July.
27th at 10
And it
o'clock.
starts off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but it's
Fountain Park, which for people who don't know where Fountain Park is, it's off of Meadow Street, it's
Yes.
behind the town hall. So, yeah, we need to tell people where this is going to
Yeah.
be, and the time and everything. And you'll have who's your honor guard?
Well, the honor guard is going to be our own honor guard, actually, led by Joel Briggs.
Who's doing the rifles?
That's done by the Continental. Honor
Continental
Guard.
Country
Yes,
Club.
Country
honor
Club,
guard.
yes.
That's where I wanted you to go.
Yeah. They're going to do the rifles. We didn't have that last year. It's great that we're having it this year for the 60th. Yeah.
And it's great that they're going to be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we anticipate a lot of people coming. So it's a thing to come and see and be part of. It's going to be a really nice celebration.
Stop by and say hello to our Korean veterans, everybody, and
Yes.
our friend Joe will be there.
Friend Joe here, yeah.
So you've seen a lot of changes in Korea, huh?
Yeah.
And it's one thing I hear from people who have visited. I've never been there. Someday maybe, but you look at the South and you look at the North, and the difference, quite a difference, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, during the 1960s, the South Korea was considered one of the poorest countries. But through the effort of the President Park Chung-hee's efforts, the Korea now became about the 11th largest economic power. We have the, you can remember the export-driven economy using the Samsung electronic TVs, Hyundai cars, and LG, all kind of the electronic stuffs, exporting. Yeah, so small country, yet right now it's economically well developed. Yeah. So we're proud of what they have done. Yeah.
Oh, sure. In my business, I used to go over there. I've been over about 3 times on business. And they always rolled out the red carpet when I was there. In fact, I had my birthday when I was there one time. and they had a real nice birthday party for me.
Oh,
as
yeah?
well, yeah. And when Joe mentioned that his father had disappeared, one of the gentlemen that we did business with there, he said relatives of his family, that's where we were started, they just disappeared. They never had any idea where they went. You know, and then of course they came in and they were just treated it terribly. Luckily he got through it because he was a little boy at the time it was happening. So
Well, I'm looking forward to this event. I will be there, of course. This will save me a seat, all right?
surely.
And I hope a lot of people are going to be there. Once again, it's this July 27th.
July
10
27th.
o'clock, Fountain Park. And I want to thank you, sir, for coming on and telling us your story. You know, it's really interesting. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, you say you escaped. It's not like you can get on a plane or you could, you know, get on a train or a bus. You had to walk.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
worked there 3 days. That was during the coldest time of the year, during the month of January.
Yeah, the Korean War.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a. I mean, I wasn't in the Korean War, but I've read enough about it, and I had an uncle who was part of it. But frostbite was a big thing over there, and they went through a lot. And it's great that we'll pay our respects, and so I guess that's about it. Unless you all have something you want to say in closing.
No, well, thank you for having us on.
I
And
thank you
think
guys
this-
for coming,
This is great.
and I thank you for the history lesson, sir.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Okay. So, to all our veterans out there and our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. This is our 4th year at Lakefront TV. We're still looking for guests, and we'd love to have you on. We're proud of what we've done in the past. So give us a call at 352-728-9707 and check us out on the internet at lakefronttv.com. Spread the word and enjoy the show.